Alright, so now we're going to make our next block of this. So we're going to go up to File, and New, and back to our standard IPT. And we're going to make block number 2 here. Block number 2, we're going to start on the front plane. So I'm going to go to Start New Sketch, and select my front plane. On this one, a little bit different, a little bit more complex of a block. So I am going to use the line command. So I'm going to go up there and pick line. And I'm going to start my line coming across here on the bottom. The really only important part, or the most important part here, is this bottom line, and as I draw it in, make sure that little red and black icon appears there. That's showing that I am parallel to the origin XY coordinates. X coordinates. So right there I'm going to click. I'm going to go straight up. Here I want to make sure that perpendicular symbol shows up. And then go over and down, still going around my origin. Back over. And now right here is somewhat of an important step. Right here on this one, notice how that dark black line is appearing? If I click right there on it, it's going to make that collinear, meaning it's locked into place in line with this one. If I don't have that black line and I click up here, it's not going to be even to it. So I do want to make sure that one's collinear there, so I'm going to click there. Come over here to the end, our dashed line will appear, saying that it's the same length. And then coming down to there. Kind of a little U-shaped block there. Okay? Okay, an important part of this as you're doing this is, if you mess up as you're doing this, it's not good to come in here and you say, oh, I drew one of the lines, crooked or something. So it's not good to come in here and just delete out this line and then draw that line back in. Because what you did there is you just got rid of, notice, that little parallel thing to my origin is not showing up. And so I just got rid of that, so it's no longer parallel to my origin. Actually, it shows up there now. But it got rid of that. So that's not a good habit of getting into if you do that. Sometimes it's just easier to undo back and redraw from scratch instead of deleting out one line that's crooked. All right. Here, we're going to start out with our same constraints as we did before, the horizontal and vertical constraints. So I'm going to click on my horizontal first. Now, in this instance, is the top a good line to pick to make a constraint side to side? No, because it's not a full line. So I'm going to pick the bottom one instead. So I'm going to go down here, I'm going to hover over my bottom line. And, well, now notice, I'm hovering over my bottom line with a horizontal constraint on, but it shows me that line that's parallel to the bottom. Is that where I want to click? No, because it's showing that parallel dashed line. I want to come over here to the side, over on the right. Now notice I'm getting that perpendicular line to it. Come up there to that midpoint, I click, and I go to my origin, and that just centered me up and down nicely. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my vertical constraint. Again, not on the top, but I'm going to go down to my bottom line. Notice I have that nice perpendicular dashed line to it. I'm going to click on that midpoint and go to my origin there. So now what I've done is, again, have it centered nicely side to side and centered nicely up and down. So I'm ready now to put in some other dimensions on this block. I'll pause. All right, so next we're going to put the dimensions in for the size of this now, because we have it constrained in position. I always just start with my overall width. That's kind of my first dimension I go with. So I'm going to go dimension. I'm going to go from this line on the left to the line on the right. Pull in my dimension up there and above. And I'm going to make that, let me remember, 3 inches. Yes, 3 inches is what I did on that. So there's my 3-inch wide block. Now I'm going to dimension it for the height. So from my top line to my bottom line. I'm going to pull it over there on the right. And I'm going to make it 1 inch tall. Now, depending on how you have this thing set up in there, when you did that, your drawing might look something like this. That notch might have, if you had this notch drawn more than 1 inch deep, it would have done this. No big deal. You just grab that, pull it up there, and we're going to be making this notch centered up here in just a bit. Okay? So 3 inches by 1 inch, and go from there. All right, so now, our part's looking here pretty good. The only thing we don't have defined is this notch in here. So we're going to do a couple dimensions there on the notch. First, I'm going to do the height of my notch. So I'm going to go from the green line here on the bottom to the blue line up here. Pull that dimension over here to right underneath of this 1 inch dimension, right to there. And I'm going to set that to 1/4 of an inch, so 0.25. Okay. Next, this next part's got a little bit confusing, but once you see it, it's really pretty easy. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the width of this notch in. So from this green line over here to this green line. And we're going to put that in as 1.5. Okay. So now my notch is all defined, but the whole notch can slide side to side. So we need to put a measurement in here. There's other ways we could do this, but I want to show you this way because I want to show you how to do this little formula thing. So I'm going to put a dimension here. To do that, I'm going to go up to put my dimension in. I'm going to place it from this green line over to the blue line over here. I'm going to pull this right up in line with this one and place the dimension right here. Now here, instead of typing in a number, we're going to do a formula. So here it's all highlighted. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to click on this number 3. When I click on the number 3, it says D0. This is recognized as dimension 0. I'm going to take that minus, whoops, I added an extra 0, sorry, minus this number, 1.5, so we're going to click on it. That is called D3 for me. I'm assuming it's the same for you. You've got to put parentheses around it. So I'm going to click there, put parentheses around it. And I'm going to type a /2 in here. /2. So what that's saying, it's D0 minus D3 divided by 2. We're going to hit our check mark. And it has a little fx of 0.75. That's a formula. So now, no matter what I change these numbers to, this is automatically going to update. This is really handy on certain things. You can get so much more complex formulas, but we're staying pretty simple here to start with. But let's say this changes, and this changes to a 4-inch dimension instead of a 3. It automatically calculates that's 1.25 inches there. If this changes to a 1-inch dimension here, 1-inch dimension there, it changes this to 1.5. It automatically updates that, automatically will keep that centered. It's really handy and powerful for certain things you're going to do. I'm going to take mine back, however, to where we had it to start with. So there we go. Everybody good there at the 3-inch overall, 1.5. Anybody need to see that? So now the last step before you finish with this is if your dimensions are kind of out of order. So I'm going to hit escape a little bit, or hit escape a few times to cancel out. If your dimensions are out of order and looking, something like this and don't look so good, we need to get those dimensions into place a little bit better. To have the dimensions into place, your large 3-inch dimension would be on the outside. Your 1.5 and your 0.75 would be in line with each other, right below that a ways. Your 1-inch dimension over here to the side with the smaller 1/4-inch dimension on the inside. And that's in a good order, and that's what I expect. When I grade this, and I don't see that, it will be counted down a little bit, because your dimensions should be in a nice order. Right, Jack? Okay, good. So that's got that, and that one should be finished once you have those dimensions in order, so you're going to go ahead and finish your sketch. Once your sketch is finished, you're going to go ahead and go to extrude. And we're going to extrude this both ways, like typical. And we're going to extrude this at 2 inches. Go ahead and pick some sort of material to that contrasts the color of your other one. So if this one's red, don't make the second one to red. But pick some color that contrasts your other part. So that one was red. I'm going to make this one, pink. Oh yeah, pink and red is going to look so beautiful together. I'm going to make that one pink. I'm going to go ahead and save this as block 2 in the same place you just saved your other one, which was your practice folder. So file, save. It should already be to your practice folder. It may have moved off, but it should be there to that same place. And save that as block 2.